I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Topo Designs Global Travel Bag Roller, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. If you're familiar with their global travel bag, this is essentially that bag on wheels. It's more like the 40-liter version versus the 30-liter version, but it's made with the same materials. So bringing this up a little bit closer, it's a 1000D recycled nylon, and then there's a mix of a 1680D recycled ballistic nylon and 210D recycled nylon throughout. So like the ballistic is, down here. There's also this PC recycled plastic shell. So that's actually the shell of the luggage itself. So it's kind of a hybrid between a hard shell and a soft shell. The hard shell being that little back half, and then all of this material up here is all that like lightweight material. With the hardware here, we have YKK zippers throughout, and then there are actually security loops at the end. So we've got security loops for this front compartment. We also have it for the main compartment as well. So essentially you loop these, it takes a little bit to do, so I'm not gonna do it on camera, but you essentially loop this through and pull it all the way down, and then it makes it hard for somebody to actually like get the zipper pull open. So, or just like use the zipper pull to get the bag open. So a little bit of built-in security. You don't have to like fiddle with TSA locks or anything like that. Unless you wanted to, you can. We also have paracord zipper pulls along the bag as well, so it's nice and easy to grab them, kind of that like classic Topo Designs look. So familiar with that, this is going to be pretty standard across the board. We have carry handles as well. We have them on both sides and then the top. They're a little bit padded, and I found them comfortable actually. So I ended up carrying this bag like I was going up and down flights of stairs, just like a single flight of stairs a couple different times, and I had to carry the bag when it was full, and it was really comfortable. So that was great. We also have loops on the front if you wanted to attach gear, and then we have the pack fast attachment clips kind of throughout as well. So here you can use this system to attach other Topo Designs bags. That means that you can't really use these front compartments that much because the bag will like cover them. But if you're attaching a bag to it, theoretically you're getting a ton of extra storage space. So that's a good feature as well. Attaching the bags will also make it so you can't use these straps, which we'll talk about in a second. But again, you're kind of trading one feature for another. We also have these big old wheels down on the bottom. They're super sturdy and actually surprisingly quiet. Like I was expecting them to be really loud when they were rolling, but they feel super secure, and they roll over all kinds of terrain with no issue. And then on the very, very bottom here, we have this like, what do they call it? They call it, basically it's like, it's an external stabilizer. So basically it's because this is only a 2-wheeled suitcase, when it's sitting on its front, it'll just be completely flat. I don't even know if you can see that. It'll lay completely flat on the ground. And that like stabilizer bar on the front just makes it so that the bag doesn't fall completely forward. If you do attach some bags to the front of this bag, it can start to get a little bit top heavy or forward heavy and fall over. But again, that's just kind of something you got to prepare for. And then we also have the telescoping handle on the back here. There's only one height adjustment, so it's not anything that's like gonna be super, super long, but I found it to be pretty comfortable, and the handle is nice and grippy as well. Pretty decent size. I would say this is like a chunkier handle, but it feels very secure. It's not like really wobbly or anything. You can see it's not really moving around a ton. So I would say, between that and the wheels, it feels like it has a really sturdy actual carry system. And it looks like these wheels as well, if you had an issue and needed to replace them, you could. You just have to unscrew some bolts. So it feels very well made. They say there are 3 ways to carry this bag, one of which seems like they're talking about the carry handles, but they also give you these 2 straps. So these backpack straps are a little bit more standard in terms of their function. What they have, there is a little like hidden pocket back here. It's like a little slip pocket almost. That's not very long. It's kind of hard to see, but it basically goes from like here to here. And in here are 2 little loops where you attach the actual backpack straps. So this is, a little G-hook. I'm gonna bring that back up actually. You hook in the G-hook, and then you clip that closed. And then there is another loop down at the bottom where you hook the other one. And then you do that with both straps, which I won't do right now, but I'll show you it on. And these feel comfortable. but only if you don't have stuff in this front compartment. So if this front compartment's completely flat, which as of now it isn't, and honestly it rarely was for me, this is going to start to kind of cut into your back space. So I would say, like, if you plan on, like, the carry straps are nice if you plan on using it so that you can like carry this up like a long flight, a big flight of stairs or something like that, which I've, you know, had that where people with luggage, I've seen them have to kind of like carry it really like up a lot of flights. This is a great alternative to that. But the straps like aren't super thick, so I wouldn't say that this is going to be like the primary way that you're going to want to use this roller bag. It's just kind of like a nice alternative option. There's also this strap, which looks like just a messenger bag strap, and there's a loop here where you could technically attach it. There's also these loops up top. We found that like this strap and then attaching it from like here to the sides is really the best, but this is like a really beefy strap and it is really comfortable. I almost wish like this padding was a little bit more substantial almost on like these carry straps. But I didn't find this particularly comfortable to carry, and they also don't really advertise it as carryable this way on their site. It just came with this strap, so I don't know if they're referring to the straps and then the carry handles and then like the roller as like the 3 ways to carry, or if this is included in that. You do technically have it as an option. I didn't really find it super functional personally. So I wanted to show you the straps on when I have a lot of stuff in that front compartment so you can kind of get a look at how it actually fits on my back. I feel like it's like somehow simultaneously pulling at my shoulders and like making me kind of like hyperextend my lower back, which is almost like impressive, honestly. It can't really find a comfortable way to sit. So it's like there's almost like a huge gap down here, and then the pockets are very full. So I don't really love that. Like I mentioned, the straps are like fine enough, maybe could use a little bit more padding, but I'm gonna take this stuff out of this compartment now so you can see how it fits when it's flat. This is now with the shoulder straps and nothing in that front compartment. I would say if you wanted to use the front compartment space, and you'll see what the organization looks like in a second, I would only put a couple of small items in there, because whatever you put in any of these front pockets is going to, like, you're going to feel it on your back. So even if you put things in there and keep it relatively flat, you can still start to feel it. But this is significantly more comfortable in terms of carry. My shoulders don't feel like there's that much more pressure on them, or at least it alleviated some of the pressure because it's not like sitting weird on me. But I do like that you can kind of adjust the fit of the straps at the top and the bottom. So you have a lot of customization. It's just, again, I wouldn't necessarily like carry this bag primarily this way. All right, this is the last mode of carry. If you found a better way to carry it with this strap, definitely let us know in the comments, but these are really the loops that make the most sense for us. So it just feels a little bit awkward. I would say, like, if I wanted to carry it this way, I would probably hold on to the carry handle the entire time, because for the most part, you know, it's just kind of like flopping all over the place. So didn't really use the strap too much. And last up is the most classic way to carry this, which is the telescoping handle. So this is very comfortable, pretty ergonomic, like I mentioned, no padding, but it feels nice and like thick and sturdy. I also really like the handle. It didn't feel like it was moving around too much. You do only have the 2-wheel option, which is perfectly fine if that's what you're used to. And then, like I mentioned as well, it stops it from tipping over with that like bar in the front. And then when you're done, you just click it and put it all the way down and you are good to go. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Looking at the external compartments on this, you got a couple different options for storing small gear. So we have this front compartment here, which is really good for like a hat or gloves or something like that. If you want an extra layer, if it's gonna be cold, maybe wherever you're going, or if it's cold where you are and then you get there and it's warm and you wanted to maybe put an extra hat in here or something like that. That's really great. It does compete for space with the compartment underneath, which we'll look at in a second, but depending on, I would say like overall this bag does better in these external compartments with flatter items. So depending on what you pack where, you might have more or less area or like space to work with in this pocket. But flipping it on the side, you can see that it's pretty flat in there. So, you know, the way that I have it at the moment, not a ton of extra space to work with. But it does, the compartment that it competes with is actually this next zippered pocket. So that's an example of what it looks like when you have the zipper pull fed through for that like security system. That is actually in any of the pockets on this bag that have the dual zipper design. So you can put the dual zippers anywhere along the track and open them whenever, but I generally keep them down at the bottom. With this opens up and you get this nice bright liner, so you have a ton of really great visibility. Again, that's very similar design to the travel backpack version. I generally use pouches or cubes or things like that, so that's what I largely put in this pocket. You can see that you have a little bit, I guess maybe not there so much as like over here, you have a little bit of depth to work with when it comes to filling this pocket, so it's not like it's completely flat, but like I mentioned, it does better with flatter items. So anything that you put in here, like whether it's a wall charger or something like that, like I would definitely make sure it's on the flatter side. There is some padding here on this like front lid area, not in the front compartment, like this zippered pocket, that's not padded there, but there's like a little bit of like foam here to add some comfort. So if you are wearing this like against your back, like I mentioned, if you have chunkier items in here, that will blunt a little bit of it, but you're still gonna be able to feel those items. So with this, there's a zippered pocket, and this goes like basically this entire compartment here. I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro in there. So if you wanted to carry your laptop with you, that you could theoretically put it in there, and the extra padding gives me a little bit of comfort. And then you can use the liner pockets for, whatever other gear you have. So you can kind of customize that however you see fit. Gonna close that. And then we have the top pocket. So you can see the zipper pull right here. The way that this compartment opens, there's like this little buckle here, and this keeps the bag, I think it just like, it gives it a little bit of like extra compression as well up top. So I kind of like that. This is also where you attach like that pack system. But in order to undo this buckle, you just clip it, squeeze it, it unclips. And then what I largely did was I put it back here and just shoved it into this little pocket, because you can see that one like earlier that has those loops. It just tucked back there very easily, and then it stayed out of my way, largely because that buckle crossing over two pockets that I wanted to get to often was just like a little bit tedious. So if you do go in here, this is a good spot for a passport wallet or a key, like if you wanted to put your keys on here, if you're going to be traveling and you don't need access to them throughout your trip, that's a good spot for that. I'll show you what it looks like when we actually get into the main compartment. You can see how big that pocket is, but it essentially goes to the back here, maybe a little bit longer technically, and it'll either go, depending on what's packed inside, it'll either go completely flat down or it'll go flat back. So you can kind of pick and choose how you want your gear to be arranged. But I liked having this option for small items, like if you wanted to put, things like headphones or just like oddly shaped items in that pocket instead, and then leave these pockets in the front for flatter things like a pair of gloves or a hat, then that kind of helps you keep the look of this in line. Because if you do have these chunkier items in this front pocket and it beefs out too much, it can start to cut into your carry-on compliance. So that's also something to pay attention to. Now onto the main compartment. This one opens with a full clamshell design, same comfy zipper pulls as with the rest of the bag. And it just flips open like this. So I'm gonna turn it to the side. Again, if you're familiar with the global travel roller, this is going to look very familiar to you. And then what we have here are some pockets, some mesh pockets. I put in here, I kind of split it between like underwear and socks in one, and then like bra, like a bralette type thing, and like a hat or something on the bottom. You could also put accessories in here if you want to. You could put a toiletry bag in here. I largely put the toiletry bag in the front, as long as it wasn't like bulking out too much. Mine's pretty flat. And then when you remove things from here, you have a decent amount of space. If you're looking at it, like there's basically this amount of packable space up. So if you really want to overpack these mesh pockets, you totally can, or you can utilize this zippered pocket on this panel on this side. I found that this zippered panel was best for flat items. So actually what I did was that I put, like I said, socks and underwear in one, and then bralettes and stuff in the other. And then as I used items, like as I dirtied a pair of socks, I actually just put it zippered in here. So once it was like dirty or whatever, I would just kind of tuck it down at the bottom. And because this pocket is so large, I could really get a flat layer of all of my dirty garments in here. And then they were separated from everything. I didn't have to remember what was dirty and what was clean. But then, I had quick access. I wasn't cutting too much into the storage space elsewhere. You could also do it where you put, everything clean here, everything dirty here. Kind of up to you how you want to arrange everything. But the rest of the items are actually in this zippered panel, underneath the zipper panel. So another reason why I don't put anything too heavy here is because every time you want to get over on this side, you have to unzip this and move it over. It doesn't roll away or anything like that. You could theoretically just roll it and tuck it, and then just use this lid as like the way to keep everything organized, but what I like about this is that it's good for people who don't really like packing cubes that much, because it keeps everything on this side in and in place. In here I have, let's see, I have 3 pairs of shorts and then 3 pairs of pants, which is, you know, overkill for most trips, but if you wanted some variety. And then I have, I believe 8 shirts in here as well. And you can see there's a little room to spare, in addition to a bathing suit and a zip-up jacket. So this is really good. Like if you, I mean, that's easily 2 weeks worth of clothing. However, it is more like summer travel clothing. Obviously winter travel clothing is gonna be a little bit bulkier, but you do have a lot of space to work with in this bag, especially because a lot of your cubes are going to be, like you have space for your cubes and the rest of it. So a lot of the times when you have a suitcase, you're filling up this compartment with your clothing and all of your cubes, like your tech or your toiletries, but you have some room to spread all of that out. Or if you're not carrying an extra pair of shoes, this is a size men 10.5, so you can get an idea of how much space it takes up. But that could save you a little bit of room as well. So I easily, you know, fit a decent amount of clothing in here when I took it on my trips. Also with this lid compartment, like that little quick grab pocket, that's where you can see it rests up there. So you can either have it like tucked down so that it's away from all your stuff, or you can keep it on top so that's a little bit like more focused on gravity when the bag is standing upright. So what I like about this is that you do have a lot of customization with what organization you want to use or not use, because it really is so flat. But if you are somebody who wants a ton of pockets that have a bunch of different uses that are like more specific, then this isn't really going to be a great option. I would say it's more so for people who want like options that don't get in the way if you don't want to utilize them. And this does that really well, and it's really easy to see everything on the inside and not overly heavy even when this thing is full of gear. So there you have it, the Topo Designs Global Travel Bag Roller. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.